Hi, welcome to the LTU Amateur Hour podcast. Today we're talking to Adrian Milling. Adrian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Evelyn. Yes, as she said, my name is Adrian, and I'm from Madrid, Spain. I've been part of the men's soccer program since freshman year, and I'm still doing it. And I'm actually also part of the industrial design program, and I'll be a junior. So, yeah.
Awesome. So what brought you to America all the way from Spain for Lawrence Tech's industrial design program?
Just like many people, it's a lot bit about opportunities. I saw a great opportunity to follow my passions, which was get into the design world early on, and I was able to do it in high school a little bit. After I was there 4 years in high school, I went into engineering my freshman year of college, and then I kind of found my roots more into the industrial design world, and here I am. So yeah.
What's your favorite part about industrial design so far as opposed to engineering?
Creativity, for sure. I mean, engineering is a great way to educate yourself, but it's very restricted at one point. And industrial design gives you the ability to open up a lot about creativity.
Yeah. So your piece, it's actually very creative. It's a stool, but it's out of a whole bunch of different pieces. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the prompt was to make an assembly, make a part that can be constructed with multiple pieces. And I kind of wanted to step it up and think more how I can basically give myself a presentation to the world, because I have a logo and I wanted to invert that logo and put it into the product. So if you see it straight on, my logo is embedded into the product, but it's just abstracted enough so you can't really see it. And plus, it's also used as book holders and any other notebooks. So it does have a purpose too, as well as not only a tool. Yeah.
Oh. And it's also free promotion in our gallery that they can visit at the DCDT.
Yep. It can be also displayed and it can be tested. It was made for durability. So I put threaded rods and nuts that I think stainless steel, so it should hold the weight. And it has a lot of great purposes.
So how did you come up with this idea?
I kind of got into that ego designer. I wanted to come up with a stool that was able to assemble, but I also wanted to give the idea that, every designer should have kind of a lingo, like their own identity. And I created my logo back in freshman year of college, and I wanted to kind of use that more in my works, and so everybody can recognize me as a person. And I was finally able to kind of use my brain, as a designer, put my designer hat on and get that presentation to work. Yeah.
Using your designer hat to make this, what was the most challenging part of building this piece of furniture?
I think choosing material work. I had a lot of struggles with choosing the right materials, because this tool needs to be, has to be practical. Everybody needs to be able to sit in it. So I was able to choose some materials like plywood that had like thicker coating. So that was able to stand more weight. Plus I was using the vertical aspect of the plywood, which gives more strength instead of using it more horizontal. So
Did your engineering background help with that?
Yes, I think so. I think also I used a lot of my help from other coworkers to really help me, because they also used it as an example. So people would sit on it and I would say, okay, I got to test it out. I got to make it better. And that's kind of what I did. I used everybody else's experiences to make it way better. So, yeah.
Did you have any big setbacks when you were having everybody test it?
Yes, everybody kind of has different weights. So there were some times where I was like, oh, I got to get bigger nuts or a bigger screw so it fits for, every person basically. So yeah, there were some times where it kind of dismantled and I was like, oh, I got to put it back together and get the right materials for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that vertical plywood holds more weight than
Hmm.
horizontal. So how do the nuts work?
So I designed it so once it was CNC'd, the holes were already drilled. So I just had to feed the rod and the nut, and it fit exactly. So there's no wiggle room, and that was the most important part. The less wiggle room meant that that whole thing would come more as a unit, and that was one of the principles as to why it holds so well, because how the whole structure fit together. The offsets were very small. Yep.
Was that hard to CNC exactly?
Yes, there's a lot of trial and errors in the CNC. That no project always goes as smooth as one thinks, and sometimes a lot of trial runs had to be done, especially in the CNC. Yeah, it was actually 6 parts that we had to CNC, so
Oh
a lot of
my.
test runs. Yep, a big sheet of plywood. Hmm. Yep, it was an experience, that's for sure.
Oh. Well, what was your favorite thing about this project specifically?
Being able to be creative when you have restrictions. You know, our restriction was that you had to make a product that's assembled, and I was able to take that part and say, okay, let's do something else. Let's do have a stool that also serves a purpose, you know, to hold books and also to show that logo that I wanted to really recreate. Yeah.
And then if someone else was in engineering right now and they're not feeling like that's their fit, what advice would you give them?
Really follow their passion. That was a big step back when I went into engineering, because I was just thinking of financing. You know, I mean, engineers make a good amount of money, but then I was really focusing more on the passion. You know, passion to be able to create whatever you want, and be really hands-on. And that's something that it's undervalued. You know, being able to do things from your head all the way down to your hands is a great virtue to have. Yeah.
What really drives your passions right now?
That's a good question, actually. There's great designers around the world that are able to change kind of how it's shaped. My passion, a lot of it is more in terms of biodegradable plastics. I do want to change the world in that way, and I think being able to be in that designers group, and that's kind of the first people who ideate and come up with products. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of change and reshape the world.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's all about doing the right thing, one
yeah.
step at a time. So
Do you have any designers from Spain who you really love and admire?
they're actually German, and right now I can't think of the name, but he was the one that inspired Apple. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and that was back in the '80s, and he was a big product designer who kind of reshaped the way products are and their simplicity. Going from products that are very complex and making them look really simple and user friendly. That's another thing that I'm trying to do more in my works. More simplicity when you bring complexity to simplicity. Yeah.
and that really shows in your work that you have in our show because it's your logo, but when you're looking at
Hmm.
it, it's not like screaming
It's
at
not
you.
there, right?
Yeah.
It was a lot about I only have 2 materials, and that's kind of what I wanted to, I guess, is steel and wood. And with that, I wanted to see, hey, how can this complex idea, you have a product that supports a lot of weight. How can you make that into a very simple product and also be able to have a purpose? So, yeah.
Yeah. You did a really beautiful job on this.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I try to work hard, and that's it.
Yeah. Did
Well,
you
thank you.
clear coat it at all with anything or like finish it with anything?
Yes, I think I put a clear coat. Yeah, back in, when was this? Back in, I think March, early March, February. Yeah, that's when I put the last clear coat for presentation. So, yeah, it was necessary because the wood sometimes kind of splits. So for more durability, especially if you use it outside, clear coat is the way to go.
Oh, so this can be indoor or outdoor.
Indoor, yep, yep. The beginning, I actually wanted to do an outdoor stool, but it kind of it makes more sense inside. I kind of reshaped the way I was thinking at the end of the stage when I was making the product. It looks better inside, actually. So. Mm-hmm.
So are you going to use this stool in your everyday life?
I would say so. I mean, the beauty of this is that can be reprinted. It can be CNC'd again, and I can go anywhere in the world and reassemble it. That's the kind of the beauty of this whole product. That is not very stationary. I mean, you can go to Europe and get a CNC and reprint it, which is really, really cool.
Are you going to be making more furniture like this?
Yes, that's a path that I'm trying to develop more, is the furniture business. I did a couple works back in my freshman and sophomore year, which were very focused on furniture. But I'm also trying to step away from furniture and go into other streams of exploration, just like biodegradable plastics,
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So are biodegradable plastics where you see yourself going next, or do you have something else up your sleeve?
Yes, I back in junior year of high school, I went to Colorado, and there was this big vibe of people trying to change how people use plastics. As we know, the sixth continent and seventh, even they may say, with all the plastics. And I think it's a good resource to kind of change that mindset into that more biodegradable, better to use plastics.
That's incredible. So where can people go to see all of your work with this stool and biodegradable plastics and all of your other industrial design works?
Well, aside from my studio, I mean, I'm always there, right? This can be displayed in Detroit, in that studio. So yeah, whenever everybody's free, you can come and watch it.
Wow. And then do you have an Instagram or a website?
I do. I'm starting to reshape my Instagram to be more design related, is at Adrian Milling altogether. Further, I will do a website, but for now it's just Instagram based.
Well, that's really exciting. Thank you for having the time to talk to me today.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Is there anyone you want to shout out?
Michael Godwin, he always does great work, and I'm actually always using him as inspiration. Also, Gabby's a great girl. A lot of people in my studio are always inspiration to me, and I do appreciate that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Adrian.
Yep. Thank you, Evelyn.